I'm Robinson, welcoming you to another episode of Used Bike Heaven, the show that takes the legwork out of finding the right used bike for you. Each week we work hard to find 3 bikes for our test rider and then furnish them with all the facts they'll need to make the purchase. This week we're on the lookout for a naked bike to put the smile back on the face of this week's guest. We also have our bike expert Rob Gibson standing by to give some essential tips on the pros and cons of used bike ownership. So on with the show, let's meet this week's tester. Dave Harding is 45 years old and comes from Nantwich in Cheshire. He works as an engineering technician, testing railway signalling, and is married with 2 children. He's been riding for over 20 years and is a member of the Institute of Advanced Motorists. His current bike is a Honda CBR 600, but in those 20 years he's ridden such gems as a Honda RS250 and a couple of Yamaha XJ 750s. Dave has decided it's time for a new bike and is looking for something very different. So Dave's looking for something naked that'll give him a few thrills. His budget is £6,000 and given this, we've been able to round up 3 bikes easily. There are many bikes on the market that fit Dave's criteria. Let's hope our 3 fit the bill too. All our bikes are under 3 years old. Let's see what the first one is. First up is the Yamaha Fazer 1000. Is it a beast or a pussycat? The Fazer 1000 features the engine and a lot of running gear from Yamaha's flagship sports bike, the R1. So with heritage like that, this bike should match Dave's needs. Any bike that weighs only 208 kilos and puts out 145 brake horsepower is going to be a giggle, and this big Fazer does not disappoint. Although the R1 engine has been retuned for more mid-range, this bike is still more than capable of getting you into trouble with the boys in blue. Pillion provision is good with a wide, comfy seat allowing for long-distance riding and a tank capable of 100 to 150 miles before refilling, depending on how hard you ride, of course. Handling is good and the brakes are amongst the best out there, but what else would you expect when the donor is the R1? So Dave, tell me exactly what you're looking for today.
I'm looking to change an old CBR 600. I'm looking for something a little bit different this time. I want to get rid of the fairing. Half fairing or fully naked bike, 600 to 1,000, do me fine I think.
I'm so glad you said that.
And I like this one because I like the blue.
Do you?
I prefer the blue to the silver.
Yeah.
So I'm quite looking forward to riding one of these actually.
Well, you've answered my question. I was going to say, what do you think of it looks-wise?
It looks great.
Yeah, they're very pretty, aren't you? So you're all right with the half faired then?
I am, yeah. Yeah, as I say, half faired or no fairing at all. I just want to go away from the fully faired bike. Okay. Try something different.
Right, well we need to know what you think to the ride of it. Get your helmet on.
Okay.
This Fazer 1000 is a 2001 model on a 51 plate, priced at £4,999. The R1's engine is renowned for being an animal, but Yamaha in their wisdom decided that out-and-out performance was not what the Fazer needed. The engine has been detuned, or is that retuned, to give more mid-range, which means more mind-bending acceleration. When buying a Fazer 1000, make sure to check the head bearings and front wheel for signs of one-wheeled abuse. This bike has wheelie and stoppie ability by the bucket load, so make sure the bike hasn't been too badly treated. Service history is all important. Ensure that the bike has been well cared for and always check for crash damage. And make sure that the engine and frame numbers match the ones on the logbook. So Dave, what did we think to the Yamaha?
I was pleasantly surprised. I was a bit worried at first. I thought it was a little bit too high.
Yeah.
Because of my height. I have to watch which bikes I am riding.
Yeah.
But it was okay. Equipment-wise, the bike, mirrors, brilliant. See the wheel behind you. Really? Clocks are in your face. Sounds well. Yeah. Engine's good. Yeah. A little bit worried about the tyres. I think they've had the life. Right. Could have had a better ride, I think, if decent tyres.
Always a good bargain employ, though.
Oh, right, yeah.
If you feel that now. So, I mean, that presumably made you a little unsure on some of the bends and roundabouts.
It did, yeah.
Yeah. But other than that,
it's a fine bike. It's okay.
So you like the 1000cc engine as well?
600 to 1,000, perfectly happy with.
Right.
No problem at all.
Brilliant. Well, we need to give each bike some points. So we'll go to the scoreboard and see what you give the Yamaha Fazer 1000. OK, Dave, what do you give it for style?
I'll give it 8 out of 10 for style. It's a quite good looking bike.
And performance?
Same again, 8 out of 10. Good motor, good gearbox.
And practicality?
Practicality, I could ride on that for miles, I think. I'll give that a 9.
And reliability?
Based on the R1 engine, no problems with that. That can have a 9 as well.
And finally, value for money?
Well, as far as I can see, that seems to fit in between what you see in the guidebooks. So, value for money, I'll give that a 9 as well.
High scoring bike, thank you very much.
I enjoyed it, it's fine.
Good, good. So Dave, that's bike number 1 done with, and I think we quite liked that one. It did very well on the scoreboards. But of course you don't have to decide just yet, because we've got bike number 2, which is a great bike with lots of heritage and racing pedigree. Next up is the Ducati Monster S4. Ducati's Monster range has been around for a long time now and is their biggest selling model. The S4 was only introduced in 2000 and features an uprated frame, suspension and above all the liquid-cooled engine from the legendary 916. Some say the new engine spoilt the air-cooled Monster's light feel and balanced handling. In fact, you needed a whole new riding style to get the most from it. Performance is good and the handling is fine for this kind of bike, although ground clearance is not the best, and you'll soon be leaving big chunks of your Termagiones on your favourite bends. This bike is all about having fun, but can it give Dave just what he's looking for? So Dave, on to bike number 2, the Ducati Monster now. A lot of people love these, but what do you think to it?
Ducati Monster, not really my cup of tea. Red with a fairing, yes, but the Monster grey, no, not really.
I mean, I like the Monster, but I do think this one looks a bit tarty.
It looks mean still.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, it looks mean. There's a lot of aftermarket parts on this one as well. The mushrooms don't like, the crash bars don't like, what the exhausts are going to sound like.
You see you steaming off down the road with the police after you. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, there's just something not quite right about this one, looks-wise. However, you may fall in love with the performance.
I haven't ridden a twin since the early 80s, so...
Oh, you're going to grow horns, I can tell we'll be chasing you to come back. Well, get your helmet on and let us know what you think.
OK.
Dave is riding a 2001 model priced at £5,999. The S4 is one of the sportier Monsters and as such would have been ridden that bit harder. Telltale signs will be scuffed foot pegs, but if you find them, you'll certainly find that the exhaust cans have been ground away as well. The plus side to this is that many owners will have fitted aftermarket cans, maybe even high-level ones, in an attempt to get around the clearance problems. These will allow the engine to breathe easier and let passers-by appreciate the pleasure of a Ducati growl. Servicing is vital for all Ducatis. Cam belt failure is terminal and will empty your bank account at an alarming rate. As with any bike, check for accident damage and insist on a test ride. Well, Dave, that sounds a bit mean, doesn't it?
And it was.
So what did you think? Because you said about the twins, what did you think?
It surprised me. Surprised me a lot. Couldn't get used to the clutch. Couldn't get used to the dry clutch to begin with.
Right.
It caused a bit of a laugh, I think, that one. But once it was on the open road, it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The engine.
Very talky.
Very talky.
Yeah.
I think it'd lose me, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you have the police after you?
No.
Not yet. Give me another couple of days. So talk me through it then, handling.
Handling, brilliant. It's, I mean, when I first looked at this bike, as I said, I didn't like it. Handling was great. Engine, superb. Loud.
Yeah.
Unbelievably loud.
Yeah.
Must admit, did miss the mirrors. I do like some mirrors.
Yes, I don't quite know what's going off there. I'll have to ask Gary when we get back to the thing. Yeah. It is a bit strange.
Comfort, reasonable, but whether or not I could go out on really long trips on it, I don't really know. Short, bit of fun trips, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Quick blast, get the grin factor.
That appears straight away, I think.
Yeah. Now, how do you find it height-wise compared to the Yamaha? Because, I mean, these are quite low bikes normally.
To me, it seemed higher, but I think that's because I'm leaning a bit further forward, where the Yamaha's more sit up and beg.
Right.
So you get a little bit more play with the Yamaha. With this one, I was on tiptoe.
Right.
Absolute tiptoe on both feet. So I have my big boots on as well. So I know.
Well, let's go to the scoreboard then and see what we think.
Okay.
So, Dave, what do you give it for style?
Could grow on me, but that particular bike, I'll give 5.
And performance?
I loved it. I'll give that one 9.
And practicality?
Don't know if I could travel loads of miles on that. I'll give it 7.
And reliability?
Don't really know too much about Ducatis, only what you've heard in the past, so I can only give that a 7.
Right, and value for money?
That's going to be more, it's a bit in the top end of my budget, so I'm going to have to give that a 7.
OK, thank you. So Dave did all right on the scoreboards, but certainly in comparison to the Yamaha, not quite there. So you've done the Yamaha Fazer 1000, you liked that. You've done the Monster, you liked the performance, but not the looks. But of course, we've still got bike number 3 to go. And before we go to bike number 3, it's time to go to Dr. Rod, who's going to give us some essential tips on used bike ownership.
Now, all three bikes on tonight's show look to have been pretty well looked after, but if you're buying privately, that's not always the case. This old Suzuki Bandit, for example, has obviously been ridden through the winter and not very well serviced, and is now starting to suffer the effects of corrosion on its rear brake caliper down here, as you can see. Now, there is something that can be serviced in the workshop, but it's something that you may not want to try at home. But the first thing to notice on an old brake caliper when you're looking at a second-hand bike is the bleed nipple there. And in this particular case, this one is sheared off, and if you do come across something like that, that can be expensive and troublesome to service. This caliper is from an old 850 Suzuki, which is a similar design to the Bandit, although slightly older. But I'd service it by removing these two bolts here and then splitting the caliper into two halves. Now, with these two bolts removed, when I do pull the brake caliper apart, what you'll see is the housings for the two brake caliper pistons, which are here and here. Now, I've cheated slightly here because I've removed the pistons in advance because they were simply so badly seized in. But that's a caliper piston, and that's where it lives inside there. And you would normally have hydraulic fluid behind there. When you apply the brake, it pushes the piston outwards to press the brake pads against the disc. You can see the amount of corrosion there is on there. That can all be cleaned up, and that can be rebuilt with new seals. But the caliper piston itself is quite badly rusted, and that will have to be replaced. Now, up at the front end of the bike, we have a slightly different design. This is a floating caliper. What I mean by that is the caliper body has to be able to move sideways on this mounting bracket, which is bolted to the fork leg. Now, the whole caliper is mounted on with these two steel pins here, and they can corrode in place. You can see there's quite a lot of rust on that. Now, it's fairly easy to dismantle the caliper and clean those up and grease them using special brake grease so that doesn't seize up again. But we've also got a hydraulic system inside the caliper body, which is there, and again you can see the amount of corrosion that there is in there. And just look at the state of that caliper piston. That will obviously have to be replaced. Final word about brakes though, if you're in any doubt about the condition of your bike, do take it down to your local dealership and have the brakes checked by professionals. And now, back to you, Fran.
And we'll be hearing more from Rod later. So far this week, Dave Harding from Nantwich has tested the Yamaha Fazer 1000 and the Ducati Monster S4. After the break, we'll be revealing bike number 3, which is a little different. So we'll see how it shapes up against bikes 1 and 2. See you in a mo. Welcome back to Used Bike Heaven. This week, Dave Harding from Nantwich, who currently owns a Honda CBR 600, is looking for a naked bike to provide hours of fun. He's already tested the Yamaha Fazer 1000 and the Ducati Monster S4 and is about to go out on his third and final test. Time to reveal bike number 3. Last but not least, it's the Triumph Speed 4. The Speed 4 is a stripped-down TT600 and is a great bike for that. The TT600 was always plagued by fueling issues, but was always acclaimed for its handling, being possibly the best 600 on the road. The engine is a lovely smooth inline 4 and its performance is ideally suited to the upright Street Fighter styling of this bike. It bears more than a passing resemblance to its bigger brother, the Speed Triple, and is an ideal bike for smaller riders and does offer a token pillion seat for the times when you want to take a friend with you. So Dave, your third and final test, our British contestant, the Triumph Speed 4. What do you think to it?
One word, different.
It's very different, insect-like, I think.
Yeah, it's ugly, but in a nice sort of way.
Yeah.
I quite like it, actually.
Yeah, it's very strange around the front there, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, that you don't see many of them, so you'd be very different on the road on this.
Certainly not as common as the R6 or the CVR.
No, and it's our baby. It's a 600, this one. So, how do you feel about that?
Well, because I've been riding the 600 for such a long time, it might suit me better, actually, anyway.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting. Not as much power there, but who knows? Get your helmet on and let us know. David is testing a 2001 Triumph Speed 4 priced at $4,199. Triumph has a reasonable reputation for reliability and build quality, however do keep an eye out for the finish of the bike, as that will tell you a lot about how the bike's been kept. As always, a full and up-to-date service history is vital. Being a 600 means it has to be worked harder to keep up with the big boys. Being British means this bike has been designed with the UK's climate in mind and as such is fairly robust. Check for furry bolts and any rust, as signs of these will mean the bike has not been cared for. Again, carry out all the checks for finance and accident damage before buying any bike, no matter how good a deal it looks. So Dave, the bright green Triumph, do we like it?
I do.
Really?
I did. I actually sat on there. Well, I didn't actually sit on it, I sat in it.
Yeah?
And to me that was brilliant.
Yeah.
It's small enough for me.
Could you touch the ground?
Just about.
Yeah.
But I was more comfortable on this.
Yeah.
I had more confidence on this.
Yeah.
Than the 1000
right.
and the Ducati.
Is that because it's a 6 or is that because of the position?
Position. So it seems lower. I can get my feet on the ground. The actual power, because it's a 600, I won't know whether it's powerful enough till I take it out again.
Yeah.
So I'll have to see on that one.
Okay. So you think you could live with the looks of it then? Because it's very odd, isn't it?
I think that's what I like about it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the old saying? Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it looks good.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to be different.
It is, yeah.
Okay, well, we need to go to the scoreboard then. So, Dave, what do you give it for style?
Style, I'll give 9. It's an ugly sort of bike in a nice sort of way. I quite like the look.
And performance?
I'll give that 9. Got a good engine, steered well.
And practicality?
I'm gonna give that 9. I'm basing that on the old CBR. It was very much the same to ride.
And reliability?
I'm going to give that the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give that 8.
And value for money?
Made me smile. I'm going to give that 8.
So overall on the scoreboards then, Dave, we have a tie. The Yamaha Fazer 1000 and the Triumph Speed 4. So who knows which way you're going to go? So while you stand and deliberate, we'll go to Dr. Rod, who's going to give us a recap on each bike and the pros and cons of second-hand ownership.
Yamaha pulled few punches when they created the big Fazer. The R1 base motor makes plenty of power, and this is one seriously fast road bike. The motor is more or less bulletproof too, and being unfaired, the bike is dead easy to service. However, this version of the bike still has carburetors rather than fuel injection, so it will need occasional attention to keep in tune. At £5 the price is right on the button, but do beware of the Group 15 insurance, which will sting your bank balance. But Fazers are selling well and building a loyal following, so the bike should hold its value reasonably well. There's nothing quite like a Ducati to stir the blood and open the wallet. The Monster S4 uses a detuned version of the old 916 engine, which gives it an addictive blend of top-end speed and wheelie happy mid-range urge. It's loads of fun, but there are still some questions about reliability, and you'll need to be an enthusiast to own one. At £6 it's not a cheap bike, but it does come with some useful extras. Those lovely deep booming exhausts adding a lovely note of character to the bike. And if you must have a Ducati, at least this one comes with a human-shaped riding position. Check the condition of the bike carefully, check the service history, and if it floats your boat, write the cheque. Life will never be the same again. Second-hand examples of Triumph's bug-eyed Speed 4 are getting quite difficult to find, which means either people aren't buying them new or people who have bought them are happy to keep them. This bike has a superb handling of the TT600 coupled with the naked aggressive looks of the Big Brother Speed Triple, and it's lively and agile to ride. At 599cc it's significantly smaller than tonight's other two bikes, and with 38 mpg and insurance in Group 12 it's also much cheaper to run, but it's still good for 145 miles an hour. If Dave isn't committed to owning a large displacement bike, this could be a good bet, and at a shade over £4 you'll still have enough cash left for some tasty extras from Triumph's accessory catalogue.
So Dave, you've ridden all three bikes now, you've had more than enough time to think about it. Which one is it going to be?
It has to be the Triumph.
Marvellous. Just run it by me one more time, why?
I think it's the physical size of the bike. I think it's more suited to me.
Yeah.
Goes well,
yeah.
Unusual looks. I think I'd be quite happy with one of these.
And well within your budget, so I've done well.
You have, yeah.
Let's go and talk to the dealer. Today's deal is being done at DK in Newcastle-under-Lyme. Dave will be trying to haggle with Gary Mackay over the Speed 4, which is currently on sale for £4,199. Right, Dave, this is Gary. Gary, this is Dave.
All right.
So, Dave's ridden all three bikes and is quite interested in the Speed 4, so over to you, Dave.
Yeah, earlier on when I took out the Speed 4, didn't think I'd like it at first, but it was okay, it was really good. Yeah, I don't know whether I'd actually want that model or whether I'd want a newer one. I'd decide that later on, depending on what sort of deal you could give me on that one, like.
This is the bit that pains Gary.
Stitched me up, haven't you? Right, I'll be able to... The bike, as it is just now, it's a nice, clean, low mileage bike. I'll be able to
It's on at 4.2.
It's up at 4,199 at the moment. It's up at. Obviously, what I'll do is I'll tax it for 12 months. I'll put 6 months warranty on it. I'll give it a service before it goes out as well.
And how much would you do it for price-wise, Gary?
Price-wise, I'll be able to do it for about 41. I'll be able to take you £100 off. And let's say that'll be everything done on it as well.
And that's just working cash?
It's a lot of bike. It's a lot of bike.
That's just working cash, is it?
Yeah.
What would it more or less be working the same price as with the Part X?
It would depend on the Part X.
Yeah. It's got a nice looking, even though it's fairly old, CBR 6.
Yeah.
How old?
Not quite as old as me, but it's an 89. And I don't know whether or not it'd be worth trading in or not.
It's not something, it's a bit old for what I would be looking for. It's not something I would be particularly looking for at the moment. You'd definitely be better selling it privately. You'll get a wee bit more money for it selling it privately in your local paper or whatever. As it is, it's not something I'd be looking for.
So 4.1 is the deal then? Okay.
4.1 I'll be able to do it for.
I think we'll go away and think about that then.
I think so, yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Gary.
Oh, thank you.
So Dave, not the best deal in the world, and I'm not convinced the Speed 4 is the bike for you. The problem you've got is the category you're looking in is so vast, you need to go and test a load of bikes.
Quite right. There's a couple of other models I'd like to try.
Yeah.
CB900, the Hornet.
The Hornet, lovely.
And the one which is catching my eye at the moment is the Z1000. I've got to take that one out first.
Yeah.
I've got to, yeah.
Well, you'll have to let us know how you get on then. I'll be interested.
Yeah, will do. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. That's it for this week. Join us next week for some more used bike heaven. That Z1000 is low seat. Having test-ridden a few other naked 1000s, Dave put his money where his mouth was and bought a Kawasaki Z1000. I knew I should have got him one on the show. Join us again next week for another used bike heaven.